such a pleasure to have you with us, Tim. It's really an honor to have you continuously during the past few editions of Webit, and it's always a pleasure. And always our global community is tweeting and retweeting what you're saying. Thanks so much.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much for having me on Webit. I appreciate being here, and your audience has always been a great one for entrepreneurship and venture capital, and so keep doing great things the way you're doing them, Plamen. This is great.
Tim, thank you so much. I appreciate your kind and generous words. This is also additional responsibility. You were same kind previous time. So were some other people who I truly respect. Eric was mentioning we're doing service to community, and we try to, I swear, we try our best. But what you are doing is truly phenomenal, and always creating new boundaries, actually expanding new boundaries on many fronts. Recently, you were on the news supporting people who, and particularly one, who has been crucified by the society big time. I'm not going to mention names, but I'm sure people know what I'm talking about. And this really great both generosity and your specific way of being a human is phenomenal. Let me remind you what you have said previously at Webit during our Global Impact Week. You said, very important for me, two things: trust and freedom. And look where we are now. A couple of months later, we are in times of war. We've been through the so-called invasion, which is a full front war. Obviously, freedom is challenged. Where is the trust? I don't know. How would you reflect where the world is heading?
I kind of had thought this might happen because at a time when geographic borders are opening up, and then suddenly there's a currency, Bitcoin, that allows us to do business wherever we may be, that means that these geographic borders become less and less relevant. But it also means that old dinosaur leaders are saying, I need to keep it the way it was. I need to focus on geographic borders. It's where I retain my power, and those leaders are going to create a lot of problems for us on our way to this incredible nirvana, this anthropological leap that humans are about to take, where geographic borders mean less and less. And we can do business across any border anywhere, and that we can communicate with people anywhere, and eventually that we can travel anywhere. And it's just that there are the weak leaders are threatened by the idea of open borders and allowing humans to be free and to innovate and to try new things, and they don't trust humans to do the right thing, and so they're always telling them what they're supposed to do. These weak leaders, I think, are on their way out, but before they leave, we're getting the big roar of the dying lion. We're getting this like, whoa, just before they're dead. And hopefully this roar will not last long, and we can continue to pursue this incredible future that I think we're all going to experience as governments lighten up and geographic borders become less relevant, and humans evolve to all exist on this planet where they can travel, they can do business, they can operate wherever they may be, from wherever and to wherever they may be. This is an exciting time for humanity, but it's definitely going to go through some difficult times on the way there. The strong leaders, of course, are the ones who are setting their people free, trusting their people to do the right thing. And that's, of course, where all the economic benefits of the world come from.
So it's the roaring time of the dying lions, because maybe it's not only one, the lion that we're talking about, right?
Yeah, there are a number of dying lions who are trying to retain their power. They're trying to hold on to something in a world where the entire board has shifted. They're saying, no, this is the way it is, and so we're going to fight a war the way the old wars were fought, and we're going to control people through that. I think that's a temporary phenomenon. I think that kind of leader is going to fail and fall. And you're seeing it now. I mean, no one's really encouraging Putin to continue doing what he's doing because they don't believe in what he's doing. They believe in this free world, in this trusted world. They don't believe in a world that's command and control from the top. And so I think he's being more and more isolated because of what he's done. And I think that the world's starting to see that, hey, this is really an interesting future we've got, where we're all going to be one people from this wonderful world we've got. This is really, it's going to be very exciting. And then you're going to see great leaders who come forward who say, we're going to simplify our border crossing. We're going to take down trade barriers. We're going to simplify customs. We're going to encourage more people to come to our country. That kind of thing, I think, is on its way. And then eventually, we humans will be very free to move around the country, around the world, unimpeded. It is very artificial that we have customs and border control and trade wars and trade barriers. After the internet, we all know that this is one big global economy. It's just that some of these weaker, sort of pathetic leaders who are trying to hold on to the past are going to make our lives miserable in the meantime.
One can only hope for such a positive prophecy of yours. And I personally am hopeful that you are not wrong again, because you're always right? I mean, if you look at what Tim Draper says for the past quite many years and does, well, obviously, you're not going to be mistaken. So I keep my fingers crossed, Tim, for what you're saying to hopefully come true. Because
I'm kind of lucky because people say, oh, you're prescient, you come up with all these ideas and then they happen 5 years later. Well, I'm lucky. All the people I meet with are showing me what the future looks like. I meet with entrepreneurs all day, every day. And I might meet with 8 entrepreneurs in a day. And they're all projecting what 5 to 10 years out is going to look like. And so with all of that information, I can project pretty easily what the future is going to look like. And it is a very bright future. So we just have to get through the speed bumps of weak leaders and move to the strong leaders who are confident enough to open their borders, open themselves up to free trade, and not try to micromanage their people. the greatest leaders are the ones who freed their people or deregulated or lowered their taxes. Those were the great leaders.
Freedom and trust. And we've seen both broken freedom and broken trust, but I can't agree more with you that actually this created a good ground for more trust between the people who represent the freedom and the free world. So I can't agree more. And again, I keep my fingers crossed. But now if we come back to now, it is what it is. And we see the stock exchange obviously not doing so well. And always the venture capital follows the stock exchange with some small delay. But we already see some, let's say, slowing in the funding. So what are your expectations? What kind of projections you can make and trends you expect in terms of financing innovation?
You know, I do think that we are going through a bear market, and it is going to be difficult for a while, and where people are sort of struggling to make it, or are not as wealthy as they thought they were, or whatever, and that means that they will speculate less. But that doesn't mean that innovation will be limited. What really happens is that people have to come up with good models. Entrepreneurs have to come up with good business models. People have to come up with good models to show profitability in their business, and that profitability can actually encourage more innovation. And it's times like it's interesting. Some of the biggest companies came from some of the worst of times, and some of the biggest companies came from some of the best of times.
Exactly.
Amazon, the Amazon funding was at the top of the market in 1999 or 2000. The Uber and Airbnb fundings were at the bottom of the market. And the valuation of Amazon was very high when it was funded, and the Airbnb and Uber fundings were very low. And so it really doesn't matter. Actually, being at the top of the market or the bottom of the market, the system is being stressed one way or another. And when it's stressed like that, it forces entrepreneurs and innovators to get more creative. And so this is definitely one of those times to get more creative. And it's a good time to be trying something new. It's a good time to be re-evaluating a business model that isn't profitable. It's a good time to stay lean as a business and focus on what really matters to your business. And then it will be a more difficult time to raise money as an entrepreneur from venture capitalists, because they will be tightening up. So all of those things are happening, but it's great that our world goes through these cycles, because it's a splurge and then purge. And you go through a splurge and you're saying, oh my gosh, we can do teleportation, and we're going to mine asteroids, and we're going to try, and our creativity is increased. And then during a purge, people are saying, oh boy, we got to figure out how to make money here. We got to figure out how to build our distribution channels. And they get down to the basics. And both of those stresses on the economy are really helpful to our overall long-term growth as a global economy.
And this is the time when I'm sure we will see phenomenal companies, and also I'm sure you will be there supporting them. with all the inspiration, and with your Meet the Drapers format, and with your personal commitments to phenomenal entrepreneurs, which, as you've mentioned, you meet on a daily basis. This was the reason we have launched, I mean, for 12 years, we do the Founders Games, but we have increased to 6 million the award pool, just to make sure we're also there to support and to bring the best of the best. And if I say it now, because we've just discussed it with you, we will be truly honored to have you at the All-Star jury, really awarding the best innovations, those that could really make a true difference in the world. And
that's great. Well, we're very much looking forward to it, and that $6 million is worth more in a lot of ways than the $6 million may have been worth a year ago, and at least to entrepreneurs. There has been inflation, and so it's technically worth less. But if you took that $6 million, you put it into Bitcoin, it would be worth a lot more. I do think it's a great thing to do. We are constantly creating competitions and events, and of course, our show Meet the Drapers now has 30 million viewers.
Phenomenal! It's phenomenal.
Wow! And it's getting to be a bigger and bigger thing, but it's attracting better and better entrepreneurs, and having that as an opportunity for entrepreneurs is very exciting, because they can get funding, but they can also get recognition or wide distribution just by being on our show, which is really kind of fun. But we've always sort of had that. We have these Draper startup houses around the world that are encouraging entrepreneurs to stay there, to do both work and play there, so that that we can sort of find those entrepreneurs wherever they may be and bring them up and watch as the best of them become bigger and more successful, and funding hopefully the ones that become the I guess, I don't know if there's a word for the $1 trillion company. I guess that's the mega
multi-unicorn.
Yeah.
Quadracon. I don't
know. So yes, we've always loved and supported entrepreneurs wherever we go, and it's very exciting what you do at Webit, and I think hopefully we'll be able to build a great long-term relationship, because Webit will attract entrepreneurs. We'll want to fund them. Some of those entrepreneurs might be good candidates for Meet the Drapers or for Draper University, and they may want to stay in Draper startup houses around the world. So, great relationship. Let's keep doing what we're doing.
Absolutely, Tim. And I'm so grateful and at the same time enthusiastic for making the real impact, because it's made by people and by collaboration. And if you allow me here, I really have so many questions for you, but I know your time is limited. But just to say that trust and freedom also bring this special notion of limitless opportunities. I would say abundance of opportunities, in contrast to the scarcity of resources that those leaders that we start our discussion about are actually fighting for. So these are the two worlds that we are talking, and thanks God we are from the new one, the abundance of opportunities that we see and create.
And I do think it is the young world that is this abundant world, this world that encourages more entrepreneurship, encourages people to become successful, encourages more trust and more freedom. And it's the old world that is trying to command and control people through some political force or some geographically based force. I think we are, fortunately, it's the younger generation that is going to take us to this new anthropological leap. And I, for one, can't wait to get there.
I wish the word collaboration takes the place of competition. Not that I mind competition, but I believe in collaboration better.
I think you're right. I think a lot of us do much better through collaboration, and competition is good because it encourages people to do better. So I
Agree.
think collaboration is probably the thing we're all after. And
Taking
the
notes,
collaboration is great. And you know what? The DAO world, creating DAOs, can allow for both collaboration and competition.
Let me ask you about the DAOs. Let me ask you about the whole financial system, the DeFi as part of it, and how fast do you expect to see real change, and where do you see it heading? DAO being part of it, of course.
Well, I'm expecting Bitcoin to be pervasive everywhere.
Are you bullish on 200,000
over the next couple of years? What's that?
Are you bullish on the 200,000 by the end of the year?
250,000 by the end of this year or early next year. I hedged it a little bit by about a quarter, but yes, 250,000 by then. And that will be because Bitcoin will be pervasive everywhere. OpenNote has made it so any retailer can accept Bitcoin and it costs very little on the transactions, not nearly as much as the 2.5% to 4% that Visa and the banks charge. So yes, no question in my mind that it's going to be very pervasive. DAOs and smart contracts are going to go through over the next 5 or 6 years. They're going to go through some major changes that are going to allow us to have new forms of collaboration, and DAOs in particular can allow not only the shareholders and the employees to benefit from the success of a great company, but also the suppliers and the customers and the community. So all stakeholders can be beneficiaries of a great success. So when Amazon becomes this great success, people get very envious of Bezos. I don't. I say I honor him because I think he's done something really extraordinary.
You never say a bad word about anyone, Tim. That's kind of your aura, right? It's all positive.
Well, they are positive. Think of what he's done. I mean, I can just say, hey, I need a toothbrush, and the thing will show up within a day. And it's all because of Bezos and Amazon. It wouldn't have happened without him. So, and I drive around in my Tesla. I love that. I love that we're exploring space. I love that there are new battery technologies and all of that because of Elon Musk. I mean, they have done extraordinary things as humans for our company, for our world and our society. And so, yes, I honor them for what they've done. However, if they had started their businesses not as corporations, but as DAOs, there would be less envy, and more people who were customers of Amazon would also be DAO holders of Amazon bucks or coin or whatever. And so everybody benefits. Now, it is true that the customers already benefit a lot from Amazon, but this would be a way that they would feel more ownership of the experience. And I think the community too would also benefit. And I think that is one of the things that has irked the more liberal political forces. They say, wait, why are these people so rich and these other people so poor? Well, they're rich because they've done something extraordinary. But using a DAO would bring the whole world along with the great successes, and there would be less of that envy, and there would be more encouragement of great innovation. So I think we'll get there, and I'm hoping the U.S. Really changes their ways on regulating, because I do think that DAOs, smart contracts, all these innovations around DeFi are going to really benefit the countries that are the lightest touches, the ones that have the least regulations. Because the ones with the most regulations, I think, are going to harm their people.
Now, obviously, we all see the truth. And the truth is that through technology and through the innovations which you in a much bigger scale, but we also at Webit with hundreds of thousands of people around the world try to push and to grow and to make, a better tomorrow, impactful, sustainable. It's all about that, but we see how the richer become richer and we see the poorer become poorer. So from what you're telling me, if maybe I interpreted completely wrong, but do you see the DAOs as an opportunity, or even if you say equivalent for the UBI? If more people are able to have a piece of the success, this is going to give them the power of what they see as currently lack of opportunities, of social security system, which is not giving them the freedom and the security they need. Do you see it like this?
I absolutely do, yes. And I also see that the first DAO, which was Bitcoin, has really benefited a lot of interesting people from a lot of different places. The people in Nigeria who've suffered under a very corrupt government for many, many years, who've watched as the Nigerian naira drops 50% every year. All of a sudden they get Bitcoin and they see this and they say, oh my gosh, we have another currency that we can use that is not tied to this corrupt government. Argentinian peso, the same thing. The peso drops 30% a year. And the Argentinians are saying, hey, we can use Bitcoin, and it keeps us from being trapped in a highly inflationary environment. And when I walk around with this tie and this suit, it's really interesting. The fancy banker rich people look at it and say, what is that B? What does that B stand for? What's that, billions or what? And I'll walk through a homeless area and the homeless guys go, Bitcoin. And they say, my son created this Bitcoin thing and they made money off Bitcoin, which meant that they had an opportunity to break from that poor cycle of poverty. And it's really interesting to see how these DAOs can actually have a major effect on allowing people, innovators, to bring one part of society up or another, and they can get wealthy themselves.
At the same time, by the way, your Thai diplomacy is phenomenal. And yes, it means both billions and Bitcoin, I guess, in your case particularly. So it goes well together. But in terms of DeFi and FinTech, now some people say, well, this is FinTech and this is DeFi. Recently, I've talked to Don Tapscott. He said, actually, this is, DeFi and FinTech is that big. Most probably, this is how you might interpret it also from what you're telling me.
No, not necessarily, but I guess it depends on your definition, because I can imagine fintech becoming a major new force. I have a vision that in the future, I'm going to be able to raise a fund all in Bitcoin, invest it all in Bitcoin, have the entrepreneurs pay their employees and suppliers all in Bitcoin, and have that whole walled garden completely, or sub-ledger if you're an accountant, completely isolated on the blockchain, and where the blockchain keeps perfect records. And if a company is sold, all of the money in Bitcoin just goes right to the wallets it's supposed to go to. And we have no need for the accountant, the auditor, the bookkeeper, the lawyer, the transfer agent, any of those extra people, because the blockchain's keeping these perfect records. And I've set my entire business up on a smart contract. I believe that is a major innovation, and I think I would call that fintech and not necessarily DeFi.
Okay, great for clarifying this. This is very important.
And then DeFi, I mean, clearly DeFi is the decentralization of all finance. So that's why I think he was arguing that's a big marketplace. And there's no question that is the case. And people are innovating in DeFi beyond where typical finance has gone. And one example is in DeFi, you can do micro payments. In DeFi, you can do things that you can't do with dollars, and that is you can operate a smart contract. You can do a lot of interesting things in DeFi that are not possible in Fi, in regular finance. So this is, and I see entrepreneurs in DeFi in a zillion different ways. It's hard for any of them to find an area that is unique to them. So those are going to be very competitive spaces, that DeFi area. But that just means that that we as consumers are going to get better and better treatment.
Tim, because I have so many questions, but I know I have to ask this last one. And the last one is, I believe, very simple and very straightforward. Our mission, and it's Webit's mission, but I'm sure this is your mission, the mission of people with big and good hearts, is to create this new, resilient and sustainable world with the desirable future where people would feel, above all, happy and hopefully also healthy. We wish we are going to have this sooner than later, but there are so many outstanding challenges out there. And let's wish this will happen in 5-10 years. What do you think we should do this year, next year, in order for this period to shrink and hopefully to have this better world sooner?
I think the more we can trust each other, the more that we can, if you're leading a business, to set a good direction and then trust your employees to do the right thing, set them free. It's amazing how productive people got when they didn't actually have to come into work every day. I think to encourage politicians to decrease government, to shrink it down, to make it so that it's less of an imposition and more of a supporter of business and humanity, and to trust people to do the right things. It's interesting. I'm in the venture capital business. We give away money for a living, and
you trust your money.
And if I hand someone a check and I expect something of them and I give them my trust, they always seem to live up to that trust. If I'm very controlling and I say, I'll give you this if you do this, and if you do this, and if you do this, then they are less trustworthy. And I think so trust people because they will live up to your trust. And I guess that would be a message to all business leaders and political leaders around the world. The more you trust your people, the less you have to regulate. The freer they become, the more innovative they can become, and the bigger your economy will become.
That's a great wrap-up of our discussion, which was so positive. Your positivism is contagious. I'm also meeting like hundreds of people ongoing, and from time to time, I'll be honest, I feel the stress of what's going on. Particularly, I'm in Bulgaria now, and Ukraine is just a small sea away from us. So it's really kind of stressful to think how to save people's lives there. I mean, physically, people's lives. And then we all in Bulgaria, all my friends, we opened our houses for refugees, and hopefully soon they will not need to be a refugee anymore. But your positivism is a shining light, and I can only hope, and we all here at Webit can only hope that what you said will happen and sooner. So
yeah, sooner,
truly appreciate.
Because we know that we're getting there. It's just we got to get over that speed bump, and the speed bump is these weak leaders who feel like they have to take real estate from other leaders instead of just encouraging people to go be free and trust them and let them go out and build their lives. So, hey, this was great fun. Thank you much for having me on, and go Webit.
Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you.